Today marks the start of tax season, meaning people are obligated to file for their income taxes at the Bureau of Internal Revenue offices. In the third quarter of 2011, a grand total of 231 million pesos was collected from taxpayers. However, some people get confused with the whole process of filing for their taxes, while some don't know the exact computation and deduction of taxes from their income. How does one file for their income tax and what are its requirements? How is the computation of taxes done? Who should file for your income tax returns? Good evening, you are watching Legal Help Desk on the Solar News channel. This show is about making the law work for you by giving legal advice on topics that matter to you.
And I'm Attorney Rod Nepomuceno. Tonight, we will be discussing your legal rights on the issue of taxes, what you need to know about how to file your income taxes correctly and on time, and what you need to do to avoid filing them late. We'll be discussing with two guests who are legal experts on the subject.
Our guests tonight are Mr. Nelson Aspe, Deputy Commissioner of the Operations Group under the Bureau of Internal Revenue, and Attorney Uni Mata Perez, who's the President of the Tax Management Association of the Philippines. Good evening and thank you for being with us tonight.
Good evening, Karen. Good evening. Hi, Rod.
Attorney. Good evening, classmates. So, it's great to have Uni and I. We were classmates, so, it was great to see each other. And this is a favorite topic of mine, personally.
Actually, today, just this evening, I was reminded of a very famous quote by someone from Twitter. Now, in life, only two things are certain: death and taxes.
Yes, it's
so we have someone from the BIR who makes sure na makolect yung taxes.
We have two people here who are certain about what they're doing. So maybe we should start off. We'll set first the parameters, na attorneys. Kasi I think the topic of taxes is really really wide. Really,
but since April 15 is about filing our income tax return, let's concentrate on what should be on those income tax returns. So maybe we can ask our commissioner, from the BIR, what are really mga considered income? Because some people, they don't really have to worry if they're working for a company because of the withholding taxes. Pero may iba, it gets confusing pag you have income coming from, for instance, may namana kang bahay na pinaparent mo.
Or you sell shares of stock or property. Are those included in the filing of your income tax? Maybe you can clarify, DepCom, and we'll go with Attorney Mata in a while.
Well, ordinarily, the items of income which are supposed to be declared this income tax filing consists of earnings on an employer relationship, which we call them as compensation.
No? Pag nagtatrabaho ka for someone.
Then net income from the pursuit of one's profession or in engaging in business.
So includes lawyers,
doctors, lawyers. So any person, sari-sari store.
Yes.
I wonder if they file taxes, no? Yung mga nasa corner na.
These are mga the informal businesses.
Yes. And then, so rule of thumb, basta kumikita ka ng pera, you have to declare
basically, but there are of course items of income which are no longer supposed to be declared this April 15. Meaning to say they're no longer subject to the ordinary income tax.
Like such as? Example?
Well, say earnings in bank deposits.
So interest income from bank deposits,
they have been taxed already.
Because they've been held by the bank.
That's
why if you check your deposit books, diba? May bawas yan. Pag may nakita kang interest, may bawas din.
But see, with Attorney Uni, of course, there are also exemptions. Not everything that comes in is taxed, diba? So you're granted certain exemptions and deductions. Can you clarify that for some of our televiewers? Because for a lot of our televiewers, it's filing an income tax return is like it's really a pain in the neck. It's really complicated. Maybe you could just give samples of exemptions and deductions that they can remove from their taxable income.
Well, the very basic ones, if you're earning compensation, of course, or an individual, is we have so-called personal exemptions, okay, which is 50,000 per individual. For additional exemption for dependents, 25,000. That's supposedly immediately removed from. But this will have to be indicated in the return.
Okay, you mean Attorney Uni, they have to put kung magkano yung income mo, you have to put 50,000 for every person. You can deduct 50,000.
Yes, for individuals. For individuals. So, and of course, for a business, generally you have so-called business deductions. Those are necessary and ordinary expenses used for the conduct or the management or the development of the business, such as rent, depreciation, all of this stuff, including salaries, of course, especially if you're a service firm. All of these are deductible. We are also, so these are what we so-called allowable deductions. But going back to your question, Rod, there are so-called excluded income or exempt income, like we have the basic 30,000. Like 13-month pay bonus, not exceeding 30,000 pesos. We have so-called de minimis benefits, like clothing allowance not exceeding 5,000 pesos a year, medical allowance not exceeding 10,000 a year.
Pension income?
Of course, retirement benefits. We have pension income. Retirement benefits subject to certain qualifications given by under qualified retirement plan and under the law. So there are a number of exclusions. But for instance, generally for a compensation income earner, the deductions are very limited.
Okay.
Right.
And I'd like to ask our Commissioner Aspect, if you're earning income from an employer, and then, for instance, I'm earning income from, as well, renting just a room, for instance, in our house, how do I file my income tax returns?
Well,
to file two?
You would be classified as a mixed income taxpayer, and in that case, you shall be making use of Form 1701.
Okay.
So
which
I think it's a combination. We have some forms
Attorney
here,
Uni has a form example here. So it's
an
orange color.
We call that
form?
the red return.
Red return. Okay.
We call it the red
I'm colorblind. Akala ko orange. So it's red. Okay.
Red
doesn't mean you're in the red. So but this is the form that you're at.
Declare both your income from compensation and that from business.
And then, PR Commissioner, do you have to then attach yung income tax return from your employer? Because that's something that they fill out, right?
So your compensation income has got to be supported by Form 2316. That's the certificate of income tax.
And then it depends.
You can ask from your employer a copy of that, and then you have to include.
That's the obligation of the employer. To furnish the employer.
Now, in the case of professionals like us, let's say we're hosting, it's a different kind of form, 2307, right?
2307.
So we have to ask the ones who's giving us compensation or salary, that form, so we can attach it here. That's right. Okay. Now we have some questions from our viewers. Let's answer a few of them with the help of our guests, of course. Our first question comes from Nick, and he asks, I'm a freelance online writer for several websites and blogs. Now my problem is, I don't know how to file for my income tax since the pay I receive from these websites varies. Now, is there a table or a list of percentages I can look at to see how much I should file based on the income I receive? So,
well, if he's talking of income tax alone, because there are other obligations in that line of business or activity. Income tax alone, we see it in the tax code itself. It's at the back of the income tax form. So he's the how to compute the income tax.
Yeah, he's kind of self-employed, no? So he's Attorney Uni. So he would be considered self-employed. Yes. He's receiving income from several websites because he designs websites.
He's supposed to aggregate all those income.
Aggregate,
I mean, you have to add, not file separate returns for each. Okay. Aggregate the income and then get the amount and see there's a table for individuals. The rates range from 5 to 32%, and then compute the tax based less, of course, whatever deductions allowed, and then after getting the tax due, then whatever tax was withheld by the payer of his income, the 23 supported by the 2307 should be deducted from his tax due.
Okay. I think this is an interesting question because a lot of people think, oh, I'm just a student and I just write blogs as a pastime. But if you earn income, you really already have to file tax returns, no?
I should add to that the obligation to file a quarterly income tax return.
Because if you're earning
insofar as freelance practitioners are concerned.
Quarterly,
there is no employer-employer relationship.
You should have filed quarterly, not
should
just
be the BAR 4 times a year.
Incidentally, this coming April 15 is also the last day for the filing of the quarterly income tax for the first quarter of
2013. Okay, take note of that, Nick. Our second question comes from Barbara, and she asks, one of my office mates collects receipts of gas services, tolls, groceries, and gives them to our office accountant. What does doing this have anything to do with our salaries or taxes? Should everyone do it too?
This is
the practice of
giving receipts.
Yeah, I noticed this with some of my friends kasi minsan sabihin nila, do you need the receipt? Tapos unahan sila, and then I guess maybe you can clarify.
We should clarify.
Well, I assume she's a compensation earner because, as I said, you cannot. I think I mentioned it, business deductions are not allowed to compensation earners. Well, sometimes there is such thing as liquidation or reimbursements, like, for instance, if you're an employee or officer and you take out a client and you spend on restaurants, and of course you can give the receipt to the company.
That's part of business operations.
It has to fall under the business, ordinary and necessary expenses of the business. Okay, so...
So if you're an employee, it's unusual?
Purely compensation, and it's not related to any of your business, then you're not supposed to deduct that from your compensation income.
So generally, if you go to 7-Eleven and buy some tissue, which you will not, and you can't submit that generally, right?
But for instance, for bloggers, siguro what they use for using the internet, that's expenses. Pwede ba yun, Commissioner?
Yes naman, so long as these items are connected with the trade or the business of the one claiming the deduction.
All right. So,
and our next question is from Belle, and she asks, I would like to start a small business. What kinds of forms should I file in the BIR, and do I still need a new TIN number? I already have one when I used to work. Is there a difference between a personal TIN and those used for businesses?
Interesting question.
So, well, every person has his own TIN, and that should be permanent. And getting another one is a violation of the national.
So, for instance, if you get straight out of high school, nagtrabaho ka, then you get a TIN, and then you went to college, so you stop working. When you start working again, like 10 years after, it has to be the same.
The same TIN.
Now, of course, the exception is to when you put
unless you incorporate a business. Meaning that's because a corporation is always a separate taxpayer. But if you're just an individual or a sole proprietor, so you only have one TIN for your business and your individual.
So in this case, the crucial thing is, mag-incorporate ba siya, or will she run the business as a proprietor, meaning walang corporation? She has to use the same TIN, no?
Yes.
So let me continue my answer to the series questions. Firstly, she's got to register with the BIR as a businesswoman, and we use form. She has form. And 1905. That's 1905. The registration.
Okay.
All right.
Let's take a short break. Legal Help Desk will return after these reminders.
See you.
You're still watching Legal Help Desk on the Solar News channel. And we are still joined by our guests, Commissioner Nelson Aspe of the BIR and Attorney Uni Mata Perez.
Yeah, so many topics, so many questions, and so little time, right?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so we have a couple of...
we still have some questions from our viewers. And we have Georgie, who asks us, I work as a contractual employee, but the office accounting department is in charge of doing the filing of our taxes. Do I still need to sign or fill up a BIR form? And if so, what forms are these? It's a contractual employee.
Well, she is similarly situated as a number of BIR employees are an employee.
Okay.
The employer prepares the income tax return. It's through Form 2316. And the employee is also required to sign, indicating his or her approval of the figures reflected in the return, in the form. And the employer is the one filing them along with those of the other employees.
So
we call that the substituted filing of.
Okay, so Commissioner, if you're an employee, at least you can sit back and relax. Parang the form will reach you, and you just have to sign it, make sure it's correct, but it's the employer who will submit it
file
to you.
that. Unless, of course,
you kind of made a distinction. What type of contractual employee should be?
I think we're talking, because there's no such thing as substituted filing. So if you're an employee purely earning pure compensation income, only one employer for the year, and the correct taxes were withheld, you don't have to file individually a separate return. That's what DepCom Commissioner asked, mentioned, like substituted filing. But if, for instance, you shift employers during the year, you have two employers, even if they withheld the correct taxes, you still are required to file a separate return yourself. So
because not all the time, because in that situation, you might not end up paying the correct taxes during the period, right? During the time that it was being withheld.
Yes,
right?
well, number one, and because the tax rates are graduated, the higher the income, the higher the tax. So if you divide the income into two, you might have a lower tax rather than combine the two incomes. So that's one.
In which case you have to still pay the balance at the end of the year. Right?
Oh, by the way, we have to add, there is a payment by installment.
Oh, okay. Well, that's very helpful.
So if the tax due is at least 2,000, you can pay the second on July 15.
Yes,
that's
true.
So
great. So is that interest free?
Yes,
yes, until July 15.
Okay, good.
For individuals only.
Only for individuals. Good. All right. Well, Ernie Santos, we have another question. Ernie Santos asked us, I'm a senior citizen. How do I exempt myself from filing income taxes since I only earn my income from house rentals? Ayan. It's a little difficult because...
music. Kasi sabi ni Deputy Commissioner,
you paused there for a while, so
parang business yan eh.
Yeah, it's business. So
rental income is business, so he has to declare full value, no exemption. Commissioner, I also have a question. Yung marami ngayon, they sell on eBay, online. So if they earn money from selling something online, they have to declare that with the BIR.
Well, in the same manner as those doing them manually. They are supposed to register with the BIR, issue receipts and invoices, do accounting, file VAT returns or percentage tax returns as they came in.
And regardless, even if you're below 18, as long as you're earning.
Now, since we're in the topic, we were talking about the tax is normally based where the person is, or the situs of the tax of income is where the income was generated. Is that correct?
Where the service is rendered.
Where the service is rendered. I have a question. If let's say you were here, and we all know it's a globalized world, right? It's basically through computers you can transact. And what if I'm able to close a deal, and the prestige or the subject of the transaction is not here, not in the Philippines, physically not in the Philippines, but somewhere else? Is that considered still income generated within the Philippines and therefore taxable, or is there room for a tax lawyer to be able to argue that?
Because the other factor that affects taxation or gives the state the power to tax is your citizenship and your residence. If you're a resident citizen, you're taxed on worldwide income, meaning whether income earned here in the Philippines or abroad. Of course, for aliens, we only tax them for income derived in the Philippines. So if it's you, Rod, earning income from abroad, you have to declare it here. Of course, we have some tax credit mechanisms, meaning if you're taxed abroad, like Pacquiao, he was taxed abroad, he can use that tax as a deduction to his tax due here. So there is that mechanism.
Now, if they're taxed higher there, do they get some credit here now?
Well, practically no.
Whatever is paid there.
Whatever is paid there.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, Rod, we have more questions. Our next question is from Rome, and he asks us, what are the exemptions when paying taxes? What is the connection of having dependents with filing of taxes? I think this is related to...
I mentioned it already. There's the 25,000 additional exemption for each dependent.
Yes, meaning
not exceeding
if
4.
you have kids, right? So this is one of those instances that it pays to have a lot of kids. Up to 4 at least.
Yes.
Up to 4 is the cap, right? If you have 4 kids, you can deduct 100,000 pesos, but 5 kids no more,
Don't give incentives to the fifth.
400,000, I mean 100,000, basta 4 kids lang. Right.
Now going back to just a quick one, if you are, however, a Filipino, OFW for example, and you're residing abroad, if they're taxed abroad, they don't have to pay taxes here anymore?
As long as they don't have any Philippine income anymore.
Yeah.
No more Philippine income, and they're technically residing there.
Yes, that's a benefit that was granted when the tax code was amended. We call them the non-resident citizens, those who are immigrants or permanently working abroad.
Okay. Next, we have a question from a phone viewer, Raven. And he asks us, are rebates from my business transactions with my suppliers subject to income tax and VAT? And I also would like to know what type of business will benefit most for optional tax deductions.
On the first question,
rebates.
Well, definitely it will affect the taxation, income, both value-added tax and
because the rebates are like discounts, right?
Yes, they are like discounts. They are not really income, but the bottom figure would really change because that rebates are sort of reductions in the cost of merchandise,
which will increase your taxable income.
Yes.
Now, we'd like to answer the second question.
Well, the optional standard deductions now are available for both individuals, those who are in business or self-employed, and corporations. It's 40%. So if your actual deduction is less than 40, it's better to avail of the OSD. Or if you don't want to keep so many records, or just declare 40%. So that's granted under that's the option of the taxpayer.
In which case, you don't have to go through itemized. Receipts.
Not anymore. It's in lieu of the itemized deductions.
To clarify to our viewers, optional standard deduction means it's just a fixed percent, right? Like you don't have to submit to the BIR itemized deductions. You just apply 40% fixed and you deduct it, and then that's it.
So let us go back again to the quarterly filing in relation to the optional method of deduction. The option has got to be exercised at the beginning of the year, not at the end of the year.
So if you decide, if you change your mind, no more.
For that taxable year.
It's a very interesting information. All right, Chona is asking us, my father is nearing his 70s and is currently residing in California with my sister and her family. He receives a monthly pension from the GSIS, which he asks us to deposit for him to his bank. Is he exempt from income tax and therefore not required to file for income tax return? So GSIS pension.
Yeah, that's correct.
It is exempt?
Yes.
It is expressly and excluded. We call it exclusions.
What about SSS premiums for those who retire and then they get SSS?
We call the benefits. Yes, they're also
exempt.
Yes.
Okay, good news at least for senior citizens.
And now here, bad news naman. Question, what are the penalties? What are the penalties for not filing income tax?
If there is something to be paid, definitely we will try to collect, including surcharge of either 25% or 50%.
And if they don't have any money in the banks, for instance, what can the BIR do to them to collect the taxes?
Well, there are other remedies, say, going after their real property, personal property, etc. And if civil remedies are not available, we have the extreme ones, the criminal ones.
Are there people who really go to jail for tax evasion?
Yes, there are. Yes, there are.
All right. Okay, so that's enough. All right, I'm filing. I'm filing.
In the US, even the Hollywood actors, they get prosecuted for tax evasion. So it's scary.
So the bottom line is, as a general rule, folks, if you're earning income, you definitely have to file income tax. Of course, you have to check whether you fall under the exemptions. And of course, if you're unsure, you can always go to your nearest RDO or regional BIR district office and find out. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have. We were telling you earlier, the time really goes quickly, So yes,
you said we started this for how many semesters, and we just have 30 minutes.
I know, 30 minutes, but maybe we'll have a part 2. So we'd like to thank our guests for this evening, Deputy Commissioner Nelson Aspe, and of course, Attorney Uni Mata Perez, for enlightening us on the topic. I'm Attorney Rod Nepomuceno.
And I'm Attorney Karen Jimeno. Join us again next Monday as we talk about your legal rights on the issue of consumer rights on restaurants and other food establishments here on Legal Help Desk. Good night. So yung mga food poisoning, bad service.
Exciting yan. All right.